it's Danica.
I'm Patrick, aka the Useless Weirdo. You can hear me a part of Kevin Klein Live every weekday morning from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m.
And you can hear me from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We did this last year. You guys loved it, so we're bringing it back. Our top albums, movies, and songs of this year, of 2015. I can't believe it's almost over.
Yeah.
It's weird. It was a weird year.
Yeah, disappointing, but good in some regards. But either way, let's get down to it.
Yeah. Ready for our top 5 films? We're probably going to argue a little bit. It's going to be entertaining for you, so...
Strongly discuss is the way I would say.
So enjoy. Alright, so my top 5 favorite movies of 2015. And I just want to come out and say this. I didn't get to see every single movie that I wanted to this year. So this is just based off the movies I did get to see this year. Alright, number 5. This movie was so exciting for me. Like, I was engaged from start to finish, and like after I left the theater, I was like, yes, like that was such a good movie. I love movies like that. It was dope. Literally. Dope is an awesome story about drug dealers and car chases and revenge in the best way possible. It is really, really cool. And it has actors that I've loved for a really long time, like Blake Anderson from Workaholics and Tony Revolori from Grand Budapest Hotel. I never felt like there was a boring moment in this movie. It kept you like, oh my god, what's gonna happen next? What's gonna happen next? And I think it was a really good movie for people who want to relive those wild, rambunctious high school years. I would definitely recommend it. Go see it. It is awesome. Alright, number 4 goes out to a movie that seemed really sweet up front, but left me really creeped out and disturbed by the end. Anything involving AI freaks me out, and this movie did a really good job with that. Ex Machina, it was fantastic. I really admired Alicia Vikander's performance and her ability to be so full of life, yet so lifeless at the same time. She really got into her character perfectly. Also, I'm a really big fan of Dom Gleeson and Oscar Isaac, that are both in Star Wars. I really felt like they were a great fit for the film. Ex Machina kept me on the edge of my seat till the very end. It kept me guessing. I didn't know what was going to happen. And when I left the theater, I just felt really, ugh. Alright, moving on to number 3. I love this movie, Mad Max. Obviously, the female badassery was fantastic. I think Charlize Theron was an interesting yet perfect role for Furiosa. She killed it. I've never seen the original Mad Max, but I've heard from other people, Patrick, that it does the movie justice, and I really enjoyed it. I'm a sucker for high-speed chases. So this was a perfect film for me. It doesn't have that major hard-to-follow plot line, you know, storyline. It was just pretty much this big car chase. It had a little bit of a story, and I really liked that because I didn't have to, you know, think about the movie too hard. I don't like movies like that. I really love how action-packed it was. It was a great twist on the post-apocalyptic world. It's an adrenaline rush the entire time. Also, Tom Hardy is the heart eyes emoji, for real. Okay, so yes, I know I'm probably the last person on earth to see this movie, but I loved it so much. Star Wars, the most anticipated film of the year. So glad I got to see it. And I know a lot of the fans said it copied 4, 5, and 6 a little bit, but I think that's necessary to reintroduce to old and new fans, and I think it's going to take a little bit of a different path and introduce some really cool things in the next movies. Without giving too much away, I freaking loved newcomers John Boyega and Daisy Ridley. They were just incredible. I mean, Daisy Ridley is such a fantastic actress, and she just stole my heart. I thought she was great as Rey. She's a great role model for girls and boys alike, and I think she killed it. It was great seeing Harrison Ford again, even though he's so incredibly old. It's okay, I still love him a bunch. And obviously the cinematography was just beautiful. I love that they didn't use a bunch of CGI graphics, and they really tried their hardest with practical effects, and it did not disappoint for me. I was very happy with episode 7, and I'm looking forward to the next ones. Alright. It's my number 1 movie of the year. And just mind you, I know I missed out on a lot of movies this year, but this one really hit home with me, and oh my god, I'm tearing up already. My favorite movie of this year was Inside Out. I really was anticipating this for a long time because Pixar didn't come out with a movie last year, and I think they really knocked it out of the park with this one. And I know some of you may think this is lame as my number 1 pick. It's an animation movie, but whatever. I really spoke to me with Riley and what she was going through. And you know, growing up her age, I had the same issues with my emotions, and it was cool to see how they portrayed the whole, you know, what's going on inside everyone's mind. And I loved the voice actors. I mean, it was like a stellar cast. I love Amy Poehler, love Mindy Kaling, Bill Hader. They were just all so great. I felt the story was very original, the animation was beautiful, they did a great job with it. Not to mention I cried. A lot. But the movie was also really hilarious at points, and I love that Pixar can do that, like, you know, with Toy Story, it's sad, but also really, really hilarious. I just feel like for Pixar's comeback movie, after a year of not having anything, they really stepped up their game and gave us an instant classic. Okay, here we go. Patrick hates fun.
I don't hate
and
fun.
hates
I really
Disney
like
and
Pixar. I do. WALL-E is one of my favorite films of all time. But
I do not understand that. WALL-E is like one of my least favorite, actually.
Either way,
we have different
topic.
opinions on Pixar
Either
movies.
way, the drama that goes on in Inside Out feels so separate from the two plots that are going on.
How boring of a movie would have been if they're like, uh-oh, we have to help her, and she's
if
like...
she went through more dramatic beats than just being homesick, I would have bought it. But just the fact that she was homesick and they make it feel like she's about to go into a depressive, comatose state at age 8,
okay,
I could not buy.
No, I think that was a really cool contrast of what they did. Where, like, the emotions are going crazy, she's feeling down. She had obviously other stuff, like with her ice skating, which I linked back to the homesickness. But that's just how I feel about it. Who cares? I think Inside Out was a great movie. Go Pixar.
This year's top 5 was incredibly tough for me because it really felt like a lot of films disappointed me. And a lot of the great independent stuff was only in LA and New York City, so I missed out on a lot of really great films. But nonetheless, my top 5. Number 5 is Spotlight. It was a look at the Boston Globe's research into the pre-sex scandal that went on in Boston in the early 2000s. And it's just a really good look at some of the most sickening things done by people who say they're the soldiers of God. You have a bunch of well-rounded reporters looking into all the various ways things were covered up or kept hushed, and the most important thing it does is present the people that survived the subject of abuse from these priests as actual human beings and not just people whose only characteristic is that they were abused. It makes for a really touching and humanized story of one of the most disturbing things that have happened in modern history. Also, it acts as a nice reminder that long-term journalism is something that needs to stay alive in a world where clickbait is now become the norm. Number 4 is Straight Outta Compton, aka the film that the NWA Blarin middle school me has been waiting for over a decade. From the moment I got to see Ice Cube rapping over a beat from Dr. Dre and DJ Yella, I knew I was in for one hell of a ride. It follows the rise of NWA through 3 different people in the group, Eazy-E, Dr. Dre, and Ice Cube. And that's what sets it apart from a lot of other music biopics I've seen in the past, where it's just a boring rise, fall, rise. And this, we get 3 different narratives that work because they're so different from each other. Eazy-E's dealing with his past gang life, Dr. Dre is dealing with the rise of Suge Knight, and Ice Cube is dealing with record contract deals, and they all collectively deal with drama together, but it really sets it apart in a way that makes it very relevant to today's society, and also is a gorgeous looking film. And in terms of what I'm talking about and it reflecting what's going on in today's society, I'm clearly only talking about record contract disputes. I can't think of a single other thing. Number 3 is The Big Short, which is the first drama from director Adam McKay. He's the guy responsible for all the best Will Ferrell comedies and Anchorman 2. He's tackling a subject that he has lightly touched on in the past, like the post-credits scene in The Other Guys. It's all about the 2008 financial crisis, where the housing market just fell apart, and he's able to tell what happened in a very simplistic way. He's able to get across the point of all the big deal terms that you don't understand in a very humorous way. There's great performances all around from the entire cast: Christian Bale, Brad Pitt, Ryan Gosling, but especially Steve Carell, who probably gives what I think may be his best performance yet. Also, it's completely self-aware that it's dramatizing the events, and it's also acting in a way as a lecture on what exactly happened. So a director like Adam McKay kind of shows the brilliance of taking such a dark and depressing story and giving it a comedic twist, because at the end of the day, all we can really do is laugh, because there's certainly no way we're changing anything anytime soon. Number 2 is The Hateful Eight from Quentin Tarantino. Tarantino has said that after he makes 10 films, he wants to go into a different art form. Mainly, he's thinking about going into theater. And after seeing The Hateful Eight, I totally get it, because the film takes place mainly in one location for about 2 hours, and it works perfectly. His tense dialogue is able to keep you engaged for the full 3-hour runtime. The violence is Tarantino-esque at its best, and if you have a shot at seeing it at his 70mm roadshow experience that's showing at a few theaters in the Bay Area. I cannot recommend it enough. It looks gorgeous in 70mm, and it's a cinematic experience you have to see to believe. My number one film of 2015 is, if you expected anything different, is Mad Max Fury Road. I mean, for crying out loud, I dressed up as 2 different characters for Scream scene from that film. It just has high-octane action that's better than anything the Fast and Furious franchise could put together. It's got nice subtlety moments that are able to tell a story without explicitly explaining everything to you. It's the perfect example of show, don't tell in terms of movie making. And of course, the constantly mentioned bit about there being gender roles being argued with in the film. And I do appreciate that it does bring it up, but it isn't so in your face that it detracts from the true enjoyment of the film, which is seeing a fun story of escapism, action, and excitement.
I like Mad Max.
Yeah.
I really did. I mean, it made it to my top 5, but I wouldn't say it was my favorite movie of the year. It was definitely up there.
I'll just say this, is that I found it to be a lot more subtle than you would initially let on, because I saw it twice in less than 3 days the first time it came out. There's so much little tiny minute details that help tell a bigger picture with the whole universe, the whole storyline in it, that it's just such a masterpiece in storytelling beyond just, we need to get from spot A to spot B without the baddies killing us. And there's all this nice little details in there that help make it such an amazing and fantastic masterpiece.
I'm sure. I need to watch it again. I've only seen all the movies in my top 5 once, so I need to go revisit those for sure.